You live in flood zone X, your lender told you flood insurance isn't required, so you don't have it, and statistically, you're like most of your neighbors. But here's the number that kept me up when I first found it. Over 25% of all flood insurance claims in the US come from areas just like yours. Low to moderate risk, Zone X. Not the coastal flood zones, not the riverfront properties, the safe zones. I'm in Cernerd. And today I'm going to show you why Zone X is the most dangerous false sense of security in the insurance world and how you can protect yourself for about the cost of a coffee subscription. Here's how most people understand flood risk. If you live in a high-risk zone, AE, zone VE, anything starting with A or V, your mortgage lender forces you to buy flood insurance. No policy, no loan. The government says you're in a special flood hazard area. You have a 1% chance of flooding every year. That's the 100-year floodplain. Zone X is everything outside that line. FEMA looked at the map and said your risk is lower. You're outside the 100-year floodplain. Insurance isn't federally required. And that's true. Your risk is lower. But lower risk is not zero risk, and that distinction is costing people their homes. Here's what nobody tells you. Flood maps are based on historical data and models. They don't predict the future. They don't account for the development that's paved over the wetlands that used to absorb rain near your neighborhood. They don't account for a warming climate pushing hurricanes further inland. When Hurricane Helene hit in September 2024, it didn't just destroy coastal towns. It dumped record rainfall on the Appalachian Mountains, Asheville, western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, places that are almost entirely Zone X, up to $250 billion in damage, and the vast majority of those homeowners had no flood insurance. Why? Because someone told them they didn't need it. This is the single most expensive misunderstanding in American homeownership. Your standard homeowner's insurance policy does not cover flood damage, not from a hurricane, not from a river overflowing, not from heavy rain saturating the ground around your foundation. Read your policy. Somewhere in there, usually in the exclusion section, it says flood is not a covered peril. You can have the best homeowner's policy on the market, State Farm, Allstate, whoever, and if water comes in from the ground outside, you're on your own. Now, here's a nuance that confuses everyone. If wind damages your roof and rain comes in through the hole, that's probably covered. But if floodwater rises and enters through your door, not covered. The source of the water matters. 1 inch of water, $25,000 in damage. FEMA estimates that just 1 inch of floodwater in your home causes about $25,000 in damage. 1 inch, that's less than the depth of a puddle. And the average flood claim, over $50,000 through the National Flood Insurance Program. The NFIP, you can buy up to $250,000 for your building structure and $100,000 for your personal property. Building coverage includes the foundation, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, appliances, permanently installed carpeting, paneling, and wallboard. Contents coverage includes your furniture, electronics, clothing, and portable appliances. But here's what's not covered. Living expenses while you're displaced. That's right, if you can't live in your home for 3 months while it's being repaired, flood insurance doesn't pay for your hotel or meals. Your homeowner's policy might cover that for other perils, but not for flood. It also doesn't cover anything in your basement beyond specific structural elements and essential equipment. Finished basement, that nice home theater you put in, not covered. Okay, enough scary stuff. Here's the good news. For Zone X properties, FEMA offers something called a Preferred Risk Policy, a PRP. It's specifically designed for low to moderate risk zones, and it's dramatically cheaper than what high-risk homeowners pay. We're talking about $400 to $600 per year. That's roughly $35 to $50 a month. Less than most people spend on streaming services. Let that sink in. For less than the cost of Netflix, you can get up to $250,000 in building coverage and $100,000 in contents coverage. Compare that to the average flood claim of $50,000. One claim pays for a lifetime of premiums. Now, since October 2021, FEMA uses something called Risk Rating 2.0. This means your premium isn't just based on your flood zone anymore. It factors in your property's specific characteristics, things like elevation, distance to water, type of construction, and even the cost to rebuild, so your actual price could vary. But for Zone X, it's almost always in that affordable range. Here's something that catches people every single hurricane season. Flood insurance through the NFIP has a 30-day waiting period before it takes effect. You can't watch the Weather Channel, see a storm forming, call your agent, and get coverage in time. It doesn't work that way. There are a few exceptions. If you're buying a home and the policy is required for closing, the waiting period is shorter. But for everyone else, 30 days. So if you're thinking, I'll get it when hurricane season starts, you're already late. By the time the storm is on the radar, it's too late. A lot of people in Zone X think, well, if a flood hits, FEMA will help. That's what disaster assistance is for. Here's the reality. FEMA's Individual Assistance Program has a maximum cap of $43,600 per household as of 2025. And that's the ceiling, not the average. The typical grant is closer to $5,000 to $8,000. FEMA assistance is designed to make your home safe and livable, not to restore it to its pre-flood condition. It's not insurance, it's a safety net, and it's a thin one. Oh, and if your home is a second home or a rental property, FEMA assistance typically doesn't apply at all. Let me show you what this looks like with real people. Meet Jennifer and David. Both live in Asheville, North Carolina, both in Zone X. Both own homes worth about $350,000. Jennifer listens to the conventional wisdom. Her lender didn't require flood insurance. She figures, I'm in the mountains, not the coast. I'll save the $500 a year. She puts that money toward her kids' soccer lessons instead. David is a little more cautious. He sees the statistics, decides $42 a month is worth the peace of mind. He buys a preferred risk policy, $250,000 in building coverage, $100,000 in contents. September 2024. Hurricane Helene dumps over 20 inches of rain on western North Carolina. Both homes flood. 2 feet of water in the living room. Drywall ruined. Flooring destroyed. HVAC system fried. David's damage comes to about $72,000. He files a flood insurance claim. His policy covers the structural damage and contents up to his limits. His out-of-pocket, his deductible, typically around $1,250 for a Zone X PRP. He's back in his home in 4 months. Jennifer's damage is similar, about $70,000. She has no flood insurance. Her homeowner's policy denies the claim because the damage was caused by floodwater. She applies for FEMA assistance and receives a grant of $8,500. Jennifer is out $61,500 that David isn't. She takes out a low-interest SBA disaster loan to cover the rest, which she'll be paying back for years. David spent $500 a year for 5 years. Total premiums, $2,500, 1 flood, 1 claim. That $2,500 turned into $70,000 in coverage. That's not luck. That's just understanding the math. All right, here's what you should actually do right now. Step 1. Find your flood zone. Go to FEMA's Flood Map Service Center at floodmaps.fema.gov. Type in your address. It takes 30 seconds. If it says Zone X, keep watching. Step 2. Check your homeowner's policy. Confirm that flood is excluded. Don't assume. Read the exclusion section. If you're not sure, call your agent and ask point blank, am I covered if flood water enters my home? Step 3. Get a flood insurance quote. You can buy N5P policies through most insurance agents. If you're in Zone X, ask specifically about the preferred risk policy. Expect $400 to $6,000 a year. Step 4. Consider private flood insurance too. The private market has grown significantly. Some private policies offer higher coverage limits, lower deductibles, and additional living expenses, which the NFIP doesn't cover. Compare both. Step 5. Do it today. Not when hurricane season starts, not when a storm is forming. Remember the 30-day waiting period? The best time to buy flood insurance was a month ago. The second best time is right now. Quick note, everything I've shared here is general educational information, not financial advice. Your specific situation, location, and policy terms may vary. Talk to a licensed insurance agent before making decisions about your coverage. If this helped you understand flood risk in Zone X, hit subscribe. I'm dropping new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, translating insurance fine print so you don't get screwed. Drop a comment below with your flood zone and whether you have coverage. I want to know how many of you are rolling the dice. I'm InsurNerd. Thanks for watching, and don't wait for the water to rise.